Good afternoon. You are watching KBC Channel 1 and are in time for live proceedings from the National Assembly. It is the second day of the month of July. And as it is the norm at this time on this day, that is Tuesday, it is time for us to catch up with members of the National Assembly as they execute their mandate this afternoon. They have quite a lot lined up, discussions surrounding various motions and bills that are pending before the House, including two particular bills that should be amended in a committee of the whole House. Before that, they shall be making a decision regarding a motion, and that is on a report on the status of the national referral hospitals in the country. The Departmental Committee on Health, chaired by Honorable Sabina Chege, compiled this report in which they found out that the country has 5 national referral hospitals: the Kenyatta National Hospital, the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, the Mathare Hospital, the National Spinal Injury Hospital, and the Kenyatta University Referral Hospital. And there are a number of recommendations as fronted by this particular committee. Debate on this matter was done last week, and therefore this afternoon they shall just be putting the question to that and deciding the way forward. Thereafter, members will retreat into a committee of the whole House to consider 2 bills. The first, it will be on the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of the year 2019. That is an omnibus of various legislations that are supposed to be amended, and there is therein the President's reservations. He did not assent to this particular bill but returned it to the National Assembly with recommendations that members shall be considering this afternoon. The other bill is the Kenya Accreditation Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of the year 2018, that seeks to establish the Kenya National Accreditation Service, setting it out as an internationally recognized entity when it comes to accreditation, and to establish it as the sole recognized body for accreditation purposes in the country. It is a bill that also proposes to repeal the Kenya Accreditation Service Order of 2009 that was made under the State Corporations Act Cap 446 of the laws of this country of Kenya. Also pending before the House, a motion on an inquiry into allocation of land in Committee Amna Forest. The Departmental Committee on Lands has compiled a report on this particular issue. It was tabled in the House on the 18th day of June 2019. Debate surrounding it
may begin. You may begin. Proceed.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Honour members, standing on number 225, subsection 2, paragraph B requires the Speaker to report to the House of any petition other than those presented by a member. If they ever wish to report to the House, the office has received a petition submitted by one Stephen Ngari Njoki on behalf of the beneficiaries of the former Mwea Settlement Scheme, LR number 26461, FR number 317/30. Our members, the petitioner claims that the member for Mbere South constituency requested for a statement on the allocation of Mwea Settlement Scheme in Mbere South constituency in Ebu County to the legitimate beneficiaries, and in a reply to the statement dated 17 September 2018, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government and the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning undertook to resume the settlement of legitimate beneficiaries within 90 days. To date, the beneficiaries of the Mwea scheme are yet to be resettled despite the undertaking by the relevant cabinet secretaries. The petitioner is concerned that matters raised in this petition have been brought before the relevant legal and constitutional bodies but remain unresolved. Pursuant to the provision standing on number 227, this petition therefore stands committed to the Departmental Committee on Lands. The committee is requested to consider the petition and report its findings to the House and the petitioner in accordance with standing order number 227, subsection 2. I thank you, members. Member for Saboti, Honorable Caleb Amisi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following petition. I, the undersigned, on behalf of the residents of Matisi community in Kitale, draw the attention of the House to the following. That the petitioners are business owners and property owners of land situated along Kitale-Endebe Swam Road. That the road has been scheduled for construction and expansion, and as a result, owners of property within the range of 40 meters of the road are required to vacate. That consequently, the Kenya National Highway compensation, since in the terms of the Gazette notice, only the people listed therein are eligible for compensation. That despite assurance of compensation given to the residents by the two relevant authorities, that is the Lands Commission, to establish measures taken to ensure that residents of Matisi community not listed in the Gazette notice are also considered for compensation for their land and property earmarked for acquisition or demolition, and makes any other recommendations that is deemed fit in the circumstances of the petition, and your petitioners will ever pray. Thank you.
Member for Saudi Menti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to make a very brief comment on the first petition. And Mr. Speaker, since the last Parliament, implementation of decisions made by this House, either through petitions, through questions, are very wanting, Mr. Speaker. Because I've realized that this petition from Mr. Ngare of Mbere South is the second petition as after the first petition was executed by the member from Mbere South. Honorable Kingangi. Now, Mr. Speaker, you realize that this resident of Mbere is again petitioning this house after the petition was executed. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I don't know through your wisdom whether we can go another way of having a very special committee of this house to deal with the petitions. Especially, there are so many petitions, this 12th Parliament touching on Iran's, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Iran's, I don't know whether they do any other work of this house except only dealing with the petitions which are coming here every day. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether the committee concerned with the revising the standing orders can really work to this matter, because when members of the public bring their petitions to this house or questions asked by members, and then decisions made either by the executive or by this house are never implemented, Mr. Speaker, I don't think we are really serving Kenyans, and it is the high time we really need to rethink on the best formula to handle petitions and questions, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Very well. Honorable Kaduri, your concerns have been raised in the past, and the matter was referred to the Procedure and House Rules Committee, and I'm informed that a report of that committee is on the offing, on the way to the House. So I believe perhaps there may be recommendations in it which might address the concerns that we've raised and which have been raised by other members in the past. But they are legitimate and valid concerns. Mutua Barasa, member for Kimilili.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I just want to comment briefly on the second petition that development is good for our country, but it must be done with a total respect to the rights of the people. And it's very important that the people that are mentioned in the second petitions, their properties, that the government is going to acquire their properties, they should be properly compensated, Mr. Speaker. The Speaker, the contrary is just impunity which should not be tolerated, because people acquired those properties through hard work, through saving that took them a very long time, Mr. Speaker. And I would want to ask the relevant committee where you will assign to look into this petition to expedite, not only for that particular purposes, but also for other state agencies to be aware that the rights of the people who have properties, for them to pave way for any development must be looked into before, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support this petition.
Member for Endebess.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa kuchangia hiyo petition ambayo imeletwa na jirani yangu Mheshimiwa Kale Pamisi. Mheshimiwa Bwana Spika, wakaaji wa Matisi ambao wako kando ya barabara, wengi wao wamechenga manyumba za biashara, na hawa ni watu wenye biashara ndogo ndogo, na wakati Kenya imekubali kwamba inataka kujenga hiyo barabara kutoka Kitale hadi Endebess mpaka kule Swam ili kutuunganisha na majirani yetu, ni mzuri waangalie mambo ya wale ambao, because serikali inakuwa na ile compulsory acquisition. Wale wamehusika sio Matisi tu peke yake.
For Kilifi North, before the end of the day, I'll talk to the director of committees and the clerk's office to make sure that how far the matter has reached.
Very well. Very well. Are these interventions for statements or what is it about? I can see the member for West Mugirango wants to say something. Honorable Kemos.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to bring attention to this House that, Mr. Speaker, in the last few days, there is a behavior by some members of this Honorable House during various functions, more particularly, Mr. Speaker, during development projects, who are trying to portray some other members of this Honorable House to look as if they are not honorable members in this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, recently in my constituency, and which I have also seen, escalating to other constituencies in Nyeri, Muranga the other day, when we are initiating different projects. Some honorable members, Mr. Speaker, who I don't know whether is they fear competition or based on ulterior motives, have always been interrupting the said meetings and making the crowd to heckle some honorable members, Mr. Speaker. This one, Mr. Speaker, happened in my constituency some 2 weeks ago when we were launching a development project in a school where I'd already given 3.2 million shillings in the last 1 year, and unknown to me, some members had put together some members of the public who were making noise. And when I was trying to speak about it, Mr. Speaker, this is a development project, not a rally. The same thing played out last week in Nyeri, Mr. Speaker. No point of order. Mr. Speaker, there's no point of order. There's no point of order here, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, development projects are not political rallies. If you want to show your might, go and show it in political rallies. Development projects are meant to...
Honorable Kemosi, you see, you are complaining about things which are happening out there in the villages. The Speaker has absolutely no role in those village functions. Now, and you see, as I said the other week, the best I can do is to respect every member who makes their way through that door. How you made your way into this place, you know how best to do it. So when you find those kind of things in the village, just deal with them the way you know best. Now, because I'm unlikely to be in every village to know who is disrupting what rally, who is organizing to. And you see, of course, Honorable Kemosi, if it is in your constituency and other people have organized, then you see, you are expected to know what is happening in your constituency. So please, this I may not have any cure for the time being. And I don't know, you talked about Nyeri, Muranga, again. I have no way of dealing with those kind of situations. So the only thing that I do, and even when I visit any constituency, I always make sure that the member of parliament is aware of my visit. That is courtesy. So I would advise that any member, now just a minute, Honorable Angwenyi, any member desirous of visiting another member's constituency, just have the courtesy of notifying your colleague. Don't just go into a member's constituency because you could be visited with some unforeseeable situations, problems. Remember, that member knows how to organize the constituents. He or she managed to organize them to vote for him or her. And therefore, when you are visiting another member's constituency, please have the courtesy of informing or intervention. So, because the Honorable Vincent Kemosi did not seek intervention from the Honorable Sankok, Honorable Sankok, you are out of order. The member did not seek intervention from you. So now you want to inform me, why don't you just walk across, go and whisper to him as the House continues with the business. So that now we don't make that the business of the day, surely. But the Honorable Kemosi, with tremendous respect, I will not be able to intervene in those kind of situations. Just deal with them in the best way you know how. You are the people you are the person who is elected in West Mugirango. So if somebody else it doesn't have the courtesy of notifying you of their intention to visit your constituency, the rest we should just leave it to the law enforcement agencies and yourself. So, honor members, I think we should just. Member for Nairobi County.
Honorable Speaker, children. Honorable Speaker, the National Steering Committee was set up by His Excellency the President to review and propose changes to the legislation relating to children and update the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection on its recommendation. Honorable Speaker, there has been an inordinate delay in finalization of relevant legislation relating to children, and it is in view of these delays and their subsequent inconvenience of any draft legislation on children from the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. 2, confirmation whether the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection has received any report or recommendation from the National Steering Committee regarding the proposed legislation on children-related welfare matters and measures that have been taken, that have been put in place to ensure that delays in reviewing legislation to children do not prejudice the rights of children in Kenya.
The statement has not come. Just go to. Honour members, now we get into business. The reports on the status of national referral hospitals, which was tabled before this House, was debated at great length for 2 days. And what remains now is for the question to be put, which I hereby do. That this House adopts a report of the Departmental Committee on Health on the status of national referral hospitals laid at the table of the House on Thursday, May 9th, 2019. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 9, Committee of the Whole House.
Order members, we are now in committee to consider the President's reservations to the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Bill number 21 of 2019, as well as the Kenya Accreditation Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2018.
Provisions relating to the Merchant Shipping Act number 4 of 2019.
Mover.
Speaker, I beg to move, Madam Speaker, I beg to move that that the President's reservation be approved as provided in the order paper. And the Speaker, the President is doing this in exercise of his powers under Article 115 of the Constitution. And this is about amending Section 16(1), where the amendment to that section was to provide or to exempt the Kenya National Shipping Line from any restrictions or imposed by that section, 16(1). And why do we wanted to do this? That restriction on the shipping line was excluding it from certain important services that are required for the revival of the Kenya National Shipping Line. And these services include the crewing agency, it includes the pilotage work, clearing and forwarding, port facility operator, shipping agent, terminal operator, container freight station. And Mr. Speaker, the House amended that section and say that the shipping line must be wholly owned by government. That alone, that amendment by the House, which was brought by the Honorable Member from Vita, excludes completely the Kenya National Shipping Line from the advantage sought by amending this section due to the fact that it's not wholly owned by the government and therefore does not qualify for this exemption. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, this is a matter of national interest. It's not about Mombasa, it's not about certain community, on the creation of employment opportunities for young people, especially this case, those near the maritime resource areas. So the people of Coast Region will benefit more than what we are being told by other people. And this practice, Madam Chair, this practice to establish national shipping line in partnership with the other agencies is not unique to Kenya. It's a global phenomenon. It's an exercise which enables government agencies to collaborate with other partners, and in this case, to collaborate with the MSC, who have already established other agencies, other companies, who have already established and tested shipping routes. So this will increase the shipping routes, it will increase the networks, and thereby it will create competitiveness in the global and regional shipping markets. If we don't do this, then we have no business in expanding the port of Lamu. The port of Lamu is supposed to be a transshipment hub. We are telling Salva Kiir yesterday, the president told him he will give them 10 acres at the Naivasha economic zone. We have told the President Museveni will give him. All this is to make sure that the port of Mombasa becomes a hub. And the port of Lamu becomes a hub. And with that in mind, Madam Chair, we must have Kenya. We have shipping lines with other countries' flag. We want to have a shipping line. So this is a factor in favor of Kenya. So for the foregoing reasons, Madam Chair, I recommend that the new subsection 16(1)A be deleted and substituted with the following new provisions, which the President is recommending. 1A means the provision of subsection 1 shall not apply to a shipping line owned or controlled by the government. Because we have got 54% of the Kenya National Shipping Line, it does not now apply. This does not apply to Maersk Sealand, does not apply to PLC, all the other shipping lines. It only applies the exemption to Kenya National Shipping Line. And lastly, MSC bought their share of the Kenya National Shipping Line in 1997. You know the story going round that some people have bought some shares, 2 months, 2 years, 3 years. So, Madam Chair, a time will come when we must act as a house in the interest of the nation. And I am sure, if I was a member of parliament from the Coast Region, most of Mombasa, this could have been a very good opportunity for me to say, yes, this is an opportunity for my people to get jobs, to become crews in the cruise liners. When the ports expanded, when the people, if Kenya Shipping Line becomes big, their office will be in Mombasa. They will employ the people of Mombasa. And even now. So I'm sure, Honorable Sharif Nasser and my other colleagues, we are not doing anything mischievous. This is for the interest of the nation, and I beg to move.
Other members, I have to propose a question, so relax. I go on to propose a question, which is that the schedule be amended with respect to the provisions relating to the Merchant Shipping Act, number 4 of 2009, as recommended by His Excellency the President. Honorable Sheriff.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you very much. Madam, as much as we will not be in agreement with the sentiments of the President, we will equally respect the Constitution of this country. Today, what the Leader of Majority has stressed on, the fact that these shares had been bought way back. These shares were bought at 50 million shillings for a business asset and opportunities calculated would be about 100 billion shillings. 50 million vis-a-vis 100 billion shillings. We might not be able to agree that this will provide opportunities for employment for our people, because we believe that there were better alternatives than to let go of our ports. This amendment, and again, we are respecting the constitution of this country, this amendment, the way it has been worded by the President, that the shipping line that can be able to run a terminal to be owned or operated, what that means legally is that tomorrow shares can be diluted and a foreign entity can be able to hold more than 90% of those. Whether it is futuristic, we create laws not for now, but we create laws for future generations. This day will be remembered that Kenyans lost, but the constitution of this country won. We will be remembered for that. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Leader of Majority?
Speaker, you have heard what the member from Vita said. This constitution won. Yes, because the president is using a provision of the constitution. And the president is using Article 115 in the event, let me finish, Honorable Nasir, we listen to you. We are not in Majengo in Mombasa. We are in the chamber of the Republic.
Order, Honorable Sharif.
Yes.
Order.
So, Madam Speaker,
order, members. Order, members. Order, Honorable Sharif. So when you get a chance, make your point precisely, and then we move. And we're going to give as many people as we can. Leader of Minority.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, as I agree with the President and support his proposed amendments.
Order, members. The Leader of Minority has priority to speak. Honorable Chair of Transport, you know this. So relax, your chance will come.
And Madam Chair, I agree with the President that sometimes we tend to think that government can run businesses. I think we need to start accepting that government's job is not to run businesses. However, Madam Chair, to me, I think we need to go back to the Constitution and talk about public participation. Because when government, through ministries, are making far-reaching recommendations, such as this one, the people of the coast need to be comfortable. And when I hear Honorable Nasir talk, we should not dismiss him. He represents people. There are MPs from the coast. The government should start engaging people through public participation. Before you bring these legislations to the House, you need to engage, have the leaders, have the people understand and appreciate, so that we don't have a situation where we are we are like disagreeing with our colleagues who come from the coast. If this is for the benefit of the coastals, why can't the leaders from the coast be engaged? Why can't the public and the coast be engaged, so that they appreciate the good things, the good intentions of the government? So that is where I have a problem, Madam Chair. In future, let the government learn to engage with the public through public participation. Thank you, Madam.
Honorable Chairman, Transport. Order, members. Order.
I thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I want to support this presidential proposal, which of course, Madam Chair, is in line with what our committee had earlier suggested. And Madam Chair, yes, we did public participation. We want to be on record, Madam Chair, that we did public participation. During the second reading of this bill, Madam Chair, I actually announced on the floor of the House, I'm on record. We opened a public participation. Very many people came from Mombasa, Honorable Chair, including the Senator of Mombasa County, Madam Chair, appeared in my committee and made these presentations. I think, Madam Chair, in terms of public participation, it was done. But let me speak about this, Madam Chair, as the chair of that relevant department. That number one, Madam Chair, the way Honorable Leader of Majority has said about presidential memorandum is true. But what do we want to achieve as a country? I want to persuade honorable members, I want to persuade the House, Madam Chair, to say that we have done a campaign, and this is what we want to achieve as a country. We did a campaign as a country about blue economy from 2015 up to today, Madam Chair. And this has attracted a lot of attraction and investment, Madam Chair, to this country. Last conference that was done in KICC attracted more than seven presidents in the world coming to Nairobi, Madam Chair, on a blue economy. Now that we are getting revenue, we are getting business coming to our country, the question then therefore is, who are we doing for? Who are we doing for? And that is why we are reviving Kenya National Shipping Line, Madam Chair. There is nothing behind the scenes, Madam Chair. We are reviving it so that we can benefit from our own campaign. Point number one. Point number two, Madam Chair, the propaganda to try to kill this initiative, Madam Chair, I want to clarify as a committee, as the chair of the committee, the views we got from the public. That number one, the argument that maybe we are selling KPA, Madam Chair, to private entities. It's not true, Madam Chair. It's not true completely. After all, the 57%, the 53% shares of KNSL is KPA, Madam Chair. So what do you sell there? There's nothing selling. Point number two, Madam Chair, the idea that we are privatizing Terminal 2, Madam Chair, is not true. It's not true, Madam.
Country, we passed this bill where the government cannot be able to exploit an opportunity, can partner with a private entity, Madam Speaker, for the purposes of value addition. So in this context, Madam Speaker, we want returns on this investment. So I'm humbly requesting our colleagues to support this so that we can move on in line with the presidential assent. I thank you.
Honorable Sankok.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these rumors that are being peddled because of business rivalry and competition. Madam Speaker, thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Ocheng.
Madam Chair, thank you so much. Madam Chair, the reason you hear all these murmurs,
Other members,
I would like
please, I said I was going to give as many of you as possible.
Thank you so much.
But don't stand on your seats.
Madam Chair,
I'll still notice your urge to contribute.
Thank you so much. Now, by the President or by the Majority Leader, Honorable Duale, you should listen to this importantly. Give members information. Members have online presence, members have email addresses. Instead of allowing rumors to determine debate, the government should be giving us, through your office, Honorable Duale, give members, every time the President wants to give a reservation, let us get information beforehand. Let us get the research. Let us know the reason the government is proposing this. Give us the policy instruments so that we can debate in the right manner, Madam Speaker. Otherwise, every time you do this, you're going to cause rumors. We may think the President is trying to make these laws to benefit his businesses. Madam Speaker, that's the problem we have.
Leader of Majority.
Thank you so much.
Madam Speaker, you know, Honorable Cheng has been away for some time. When the President returns a memoranda, the first thing that happens in the House is the Speaker reads it from the chair. Then it's referred to a committee for 21 days. If you did not read that 21 days, the 21 days is over. The last day for this to be dealt with is today. And again, the same constitution